How you prepare for a golf tournament?
Well, I hit balls maybe 20 minutes, putt a little bit, smoke 4 or 5 cigarettes, drink 3 Diet Cokes, and go to the first tee. Some days I won't even go to the range.
August 6th, it's a Tuesday. It's another edition of the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD. We are broadcasting from the Puck Sports Studios, built by Limback Lumber. Of course, you know, Northwest premier supplier of lumber and molding since 1930. 1930 they've been doing business for. Summer's in full swing. Get that deck fixed. Get that fence fixed at the perfect time for all your projects, and make Limback Lumber your number one stop for those projects. Whether you're a do-it-yourself or small contractor, Limback Lumber is your spot for you, located in historic downtown Ballard. Give them a call, 206-782-3487. Visit them online at limbacklumber.com. Puck Sports Studios, built by Limback Lumber. We appreciate you checking in on the Daily Puck Drop, the DPD. We do it every single day. We release new episodes at 10 a.m. YouTube, of course, you can watch this beautiful face. It's not that beautiful. Or you can listen, of course, on Apple and Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. Now, you're listening, so I'm telling you where to listen. But for our YouTube viewers, that's where you can listen as well. And eventually, I'm hoping soon we're going to have another great announcement that we can make another way for you to listen to the show. You can always follow online. You can follow on all the social media platforms on X and Instagram at Puck2040, on TikTok at Puck_sports, and on Facebook, Jason Puckett. We put all new content up there all the time, highlights, video clips of the shows that we do every single day here on the Daily Puck Drop. All right, what are we going to cover today? Geno Smith is back. We'll get to that. Thoughts on Sam Howell, Draymond Jones still out. Crazy trade news, Brandon Aiyuk, and the future there with the San Francisco 49ers. M's and the Kitty Cats, the old Tigers start a series coming up today, so we'll give you an update on that one. Look ahead to which is going to be a great pitching matchup coming up on Wednesday with Kirby and Tarek Skubal, and even one where we look way ahead. Not way ahead, a couple weeks. Well, hold on. What is it today? The 6th? Less than 2 weeks of a pitching matchup when the Mariners hit on the road. Some comments yesterday from Jim Duquette, because there's been this groundswell. I can think of what he said the other day. Victor Robles, would you give Victor Robles an extension? I asked Jim Duquette on yesterday's show, of course, former Major League Baseball GM. And we asked Duquette yesterday about his thoughts on what it would take if you wanted to do something with Victor Robles. What would it cost? And cool news, if you are an Everett Aqua Sox fan, we'll update you on that one coming up a little bit later. And, of course, as we do on every Daily Puck Drop, we wrap it up with Hey, What the Puck, which is brought to you by Restoration One. A very odd video coming out of the Olympics with Jimmer Fredette. Naming rights in college football, Marshawn Lynch news, Hard Knocks, update on the show that's going to be happening here at the end of the year. And they're going to make a movie about Hulk Hogan. We'll cover it all on the Daily Puck Drop, on the Hey, What the Puck at the end of the DPD. Let's get into the Seahawks real quick. Well, good news yesterday is Geno Smith returned after being out for several days with that banged up knee and hip. We've danced around this a little bit with Geno Smith. Clearly, I think he was banged up. Okay? Jim and I have had fun with this little storyline. Clearly, something happened, whatever it was, a week plus ago. I also do think that there may be something more at play here with Geno and him coming back. Maybe they've solved something behind the scenes. I don't know. Let's just wait and see what happens here. I do think Geno Smith looks at his current situation right now. And maybe it was just, hey man, I got a little bit banged up here. Am I going to be taken care of beyond this season? Because here's the thing with Geno Smith. So what I'm getting at is I think that there has been a little bit more at play here why Geno's been out a little bit. I think he could I think you have to at least think of the possibility that he may have been behind the scenes trying to get some more money out of the Seahawks and using maybe that little scare of him getting his knee banged up, of maybe trying to get something out of them. He clearly is their number one option right now at quarterback. And he knows that. I mean, you go back and And we gave you the quote from Jeremy Fowler the other day when Fowler was there for ESPN, and Fowler, he was like, I know I'm one of the best. It's on tape. You can see it. Now, is he one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL? I don't know how many people think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I certainly don't. Maybe some of you out there think he is. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's an above average quarterback. I don't think he's an elite quarterback. He's not top 5. Is he top 10? I mean, I don't think so. Now you're going to say, well, name me 10 better quarterbacks. Well, but when you think top 10, and there's moments where he plays like that, but there's more moments in his career where he doesn't play like that. And I think for this team right now, he's their best option. And I think when you're kind of pushed up against a wall as an organization, you know that he is, you can get he has leverage right now a little bit. There's no doubt that he's got leverage. He's got leverage of where they want to be as an organization. He knows by his play in camp, and he knows by watching Sam Howell play, that at this point, if he were to go down with an injury or something were to happen to him, that the backup option right now here with Howell is not good. I mean, Mike McDonald has said it in his own gentle way here in the last week or so when evaluating Sam Howell, saying things like, well, Sam knows that he could play better. I mean, that was like a real nice way of putting your kid down. And he hasn't gone out of his way to hammer Sam Howell and criticize him. But for the most part, if you follow everyone that's been following, camp and reading all the stuff, and I guess not seeing much highlights because they don't show any highlights anymore, but he just hasn't had a good camp. And there's a reason that Washington gave up on him. There's one, because they wanted to go, move up and get a top flight quarterback. But I guess I'm not saying the jury still could be out on Sam Howell, whether or not he could be a starting quarterback in this league. The likelihood of that happening, of him finding it, probably slim to none. And I think Geno sees the writing on the wall, and Geno knows that I'm only guaranteed money right now. Like right now, this year. Next year is no guarantee. If something happens to me, I'm out of money. My best situation is here in Seattle. But I think the Seahawks need to be careful with this. If he were to try and let's speculate that he would try and get some money out of Seattle to do something with his contract, to extend it beyond next season. You just have to ask yourself for Seattle, who else would you compete with for him? Nobody. Be honest, nobody. Nobody's going to give him the money that he wants other than you. You're the only organization that would pay him. And I don't think this organization's in a position to sit there and pay him and reward him for what he's done, or reward him for what you have right now with a backup in Sam Howell. Again, he's a good quarterback. He's an above average quarterback. They can certainly win games with Geno Smith. They've proved it. I'm not trying to be half glass empty here, but I don't think they can win a Super Bowl with Geno Smith. I don't know how many people out there think they can. And I know the rationale behind it. Well, if you've got a great running game and you've got a great defense, and can he be a part of that if you've got all the other pieces around him? Great. Oh, okay. I mean, I'll dance with you a little bit, but I think every other piece around Geno Smith has got to be extremely elite. And I don't think they're there yet. There's just too many times where he has stretches of bad football. But it was good to see him back there yesterday. They clearly are a much better football team with Geno Smith over Sam Howell. I'm intrigued to see how much he's going to play this week, if he plays at all, against the Chargers coming up on Saturday. I mean, I'd give him. I mean, I'd like to see, since you only have 3 preseason games, I'd like to see him get some rep. Maybe it's 1 series or 2 series, but based on, how he's moving around and on the knee and hip injury, they probably won't give him much, if they give him anything at all, and you'll get a full glimpse of Sam Howell. Hell, maybe Sam Howell comes out of the game and lights it up. Who knows? There's plenty of guys, it's weird, that don't practice well, Then they get in a game situation and they're unbelievable. I mean, I've seen it all the time. I'm on a very low level, coaching youth sports. I see it all the time where I watch guys in practice who are just like, I'm like, my God, man, you can't hit at all. And then they get in the game, they're hitting all over the place. Like, they're unbelievable. It's like the players completely change. I think you see it at the professional level all the time. I mean, they always say, practice hard and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, sometimes guys just don't get the same juices when they actually play. So we'll see if Sam Howell, can at least when they play, will get significant playing time. Can he show this organization something of why they went out and acquired him? But when you're getting pushed by P.J. Walker, I mean, I think the more intriguing storyline is whether or not P.J. Walker can potentially unseat him as the backup quarterback. If that happens, it's like the worst case scenario, because we talked about it a few days. I don't know if it was yesterday or last week. I think it was on Friday with Jim on the Daily Puck Drop. In a weird way, the best case scenario would be for Sam Howell to ball out and be the guy, because then you have a future at your quarterback position and you don't got to pay him anything. That's the best case scenario, because right now you look at next year's class, nothing at this point wows you. The guy that I'm going to look at the most is going to be Milroe for Alabama, just because of the connection to Kalen DeBoer, because they're going to run a similar offense. How does he look in that offense, and would he make sense next season for Seattle? But you get into free agency and all that. I mean, there's just not a lot out there. And that's the missing. I mean, we all know this. Duh. You don't need me to sit there and tell you. That's the missing piece for the organization. Draymond Jones continues to still be out. No practice again. He hasn't practiced. Been out since July 26th with a hamstring. So hopefully he gets back soon, because he had a disappointing campaign with Seattle. And they gave him a bunch of money. I know they restructured his contract. He had 4.5 sacks last year, but they gave him $51 million, which is the most money they gave to a free agent in their in their tenure under Schneider. They restructured the deal to give him a little bit more cap space and things like that. But he needs to have an impact. He needs to get back on the field. And you don't want to push it. You don't want to push his injury. But yeah, he needs to get out there, because he's got a lot to prove this season. Does Draymond Jones? He's got a new coaching staff. They mean nothing to him. For Mike McDonald and these guys, doesn't matter, how much money you're making. You got to go out there and ball out. And Draymond Jones, I think, he's got to have a bounce back season here for the Seahawks. And they need as much help as they can possibly get on the defensive line. They do. As we've talked about many times before, when you start, breaking down the Seahawks and the expectations for this season. I was talking to somebody yesterday at the Vampires football practice, and they were laughing that the over-under is 7.5 wins and that they're going to hammer the over on it. It makes sense. I think if you had to do it now, I'd put the over on it, but it will once again come down to, can they control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball? Because that has been the number one issue for this team for quite some time. And whether they're going to have a successful season or not is just going to be based on that. And that's not the sexiest thing to say. And that's not, oh, wow, I can't believe we came here for that type of football knowledge. But it is. It's just basic stuff. What have they not been able to do on the defensive side of the ball for, God, it seems like forever? Stop the run. They cannot stop the run, and have been unable to do so. If they can't stop the run again this season, then they will not reach over 7.5 wins, because teams will. It's not just about, style of football has changed in the NFL. We pound, run the ball. And, teams are throwing it more than they ever have. But if you can't stop it, you saw it last year with Pittsburgh came into town. They just ran it down their throats constantly. That's demoralizing for a defense. I don't want to see that defense demoralized anymore, because they were demoralized on that game. A game they had no business losing against that squad. And then the flip side, the other side of it is the offensive line. They've got the possibilities. They've got the ability to be so explosive on offense. So explosive. But, if they can't protect Geno Smith. If Geno, like any quarterback, is given a clean pocket to throw from, he's going to be effective, because he's got DK, he's got Jackson Smith. He's, Tyler Lockett, plenty of weapons. No, you throw Noah Fant in there and the two running backs. They've got weapons, a ton of weapons offensively. But again, and we'll come back to that line. Can they protect him? Can they run the ball effectively? Can they get to 2nd and 6? Can they be in more 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s? Just felt like this may not be the case, and someone's going to say, nope, here's the research. You're wrong, which I'm wrong a lot, obviously. You've been watching and listening to this forever and on the radio. It's always been wrong. They just feel like last year that they were constantly 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. And those are just so damn hard. They've just got to be more manageable, that when they face a 3rd down, it's 3rd and 3 or less. Where you still have the option to run if you want, to be physical, to throw the ball out of the backfield. Here's my plea for Ryan Grubb, and I'm just trying to think if at Washington did they do a lot of this. I think they did, but they did a lot of the middle screens to the tight end. Hey, Grubby, here's the one thing I want from you this year. Can we please, for the love of all that's right in football, please have a successful screen pass to a running back? When's the last time that this offense has actually thrown a screen pass to a running back and it's been effective? Like the Niners do constantly. You've been watching, you've been hearing me say this forever. I love a good screen pass. I'd open up every game with a screen pass. But my favorite football team has been terrible at this forever. My college team, I just give up on my college team because they'll never throw a screen pass to a running back. But please, Grubby, the screen pass to a running back, can we make that work, please? Seahawks could get some help on the offensive line. If you've been following the story in the last 24 hours or so, Connor Williams could be a Seahawks soon. Drew Rosenhaus, his agent, went on a station in Miami and had noted that he's close, 48 hours away maybe from signing a new deal. Said he was going to take a visit or at least meet with the Ravens, so maybe there's some competition with McDonald's former team. Connor Williams would be a nice upgrade to what they got. They clearly aren't satisfied with Oluwatimi and Nick Harris. And I don't really think Nick Harris really has much of a chance at the job anyways. But, Oluwatimi going into his 2nd year, they want more of a veteran presence. Love it. Probably can't overpay for Connor Williams because of the cap situation you're in right now. But a guy that was highly rated when he played that position with Miami, has the flexibility to play other guard positions. So it's starting to line up here, I think, for them. Left side is set. Center not set. Appears Bradford's the starting right guard unless, Christian Haynes can come in here and outplay him. And then George Fant right now is entrenched as the right tackle until Abe Lucas can come back. Hopefully Abe Lucas can come back. There's been some encouraging reports. Jeremy Fowler, ESPN when he was in here last week saying that he should be ready by week 1. But again, I feel like we've heard that a lot when it's come to Abe Lucas. So again, I'm holding out hope he's going to be okay and be ready. But God, it just, I don't know. As every day goes by, I get a little bit more worried about whether or not Abe Lucas is going to be ready for the Seahawks. More NFL news. Brandon Aiyuk, that trade talk on the move. I hope Niner Nate, our good friend, hears this, watches this. F you, Niner Nate, telling me there's no way they'll trade Brandon Aiyuk. It can't happen. Well, looks like it may happen. Matt Mayoko, NBC Sports Bay Area, who, by far the best person that covers the 49ers, Mayoko, he's great. He says a framework is in place right now to trade Aiyuk to either the Browns or Patriots. 49ers apparently want a veteran wide receiver in return, plus package of draft picks. Aiyuk wants big-time money. He wants money like Justin Jefferson money. He's put up great years. Last 2 years, second-team Pro Bowler. They appear to be balking at that price. He does not want to agree to a trade because the Niners have allowed him to negotiate with said teams. Washington was thrown in there. Washington backed out because of the asking price. Steelers backed out because of the asking price. So we'll see if the Patriots or the Browns can deliver on it. If the Browns, they have the one guy that they could possibly move on and Amari Cooper, if they wanted a veteran wide receiver back. He's got an $8 million cap hit this year. I believe his contract is void for next season, so if they wanted to do that, the Niners do have an option if Aiyuk goes, and that's Ricky Pearsall, the rookie out of Florida. But I remember when they drafted him, that was always the thought there was always that he is eventually the replacement for Deebo Samuel, that he'll do the things that Samuel does, not so much the things that Aiyuk does. But, I mean, that's their problem. But all I care about, all the Seahawks fans care about, is that there's anxiety, there's anger, there's angst happening with the 49ers, and it's all good news. We've brought this up with Garofolo before. We'll do it again on Thursday when he joins us, that their window, it's not closed, obviously, but it's closing. They have so much money locked up into guys. They're paying so much money. And rightfully so, because they know what their window is to win. But eventually it's going to fall apart for them, especially next season when they sign Brock Purdy, if they do, if they give Brock Purdy a big deal, because then it's over. Once you start doing that and you're handing out these deals, you better hit on every single draft pick, because you just run into a situation where you can't afford any more talent. You just can't do it. They've been pretty good at it, but they'll run into issues a lot of other NFL teams have run into. So it appears that Brandon Aiyuk could be on the move, leaving the NFC West. Fingers crossed it happens soon. Over to baseball, M's and Tigers will open up a series coming up later today. Luis Castillo against Kiter Montero. Montero's last 4 starts has got the shit kicked out of him, 19 earned runs. Castillo has been a boss in July, so he makes his first start here in August and July. He's got a 1.99 ERA. So you love Castillo tonight, and you love the under. You got to love the under. Come on. The Bet M summer under continues. Yeah, we've taken some on the chin here. I think we got 1 win in the Phillies series. I think that was Sunday. Sunday was the only victory, I believe. So currently on the season, have been following along. We've been betting. I have been betting on the under for every Mariners game, because the offense can't score and no one can score off their pitching. But it's since the summer has come and it's warmed up, the ball's flying out a little bit more. But record on the season, 35, 41, and 2. Total tonight, 7.5. Lay the lumber, take the under. George Kirby against Tarek Skubal coming up on Wednesday. Man. I don't know what tickets are, but I would go. If you haven't been to a game yet, go to that game. That's gonna be an hour and 45-minute game. Sorry, Divish, probably already jinxed it. Looking way ahead, by the way. And if the CEO of the Puckett family approves this, I may take the vampire out for the father-son sports trip that we do every year. We haven't done it for 2024. We've had a lot of things we've had a lot of life changes that have kind of pushed that. And the CEO of the family said, we don't have the finances to do it in 2024, but me and the vampire trying to squeeze in our 2024 father-son sports road trip. We have something lined up. We think we're going to go watch the Cougs play in San Diego, so that might be okay. But this is the one that we want to do. But this would be an in and out, and it's kind of expensive because the flights aren't great. And we've been monitoring this to see if it would line up. And it appears on Friday, August 16th, because I've always wanted to see this stadium. I heard it's fantastic. The Seahawks. Why do I have Seahawks? Well, I've been talking about the Seahawks. I got the Seahawks in my brain. The Mariners play the Pirates. And the pitching matchup on Friday, August 16th, if it continues this way and lines up, nothing happens, is Logan Gilbert against Paul Skeens. My kid, like probably most 10 or 11-year-olds who love baseball, love this guy, and then they love the girlfriend too because they're starting to like girls now, is Paul. So Paul Skeens, my kid loves Paul Skeens, everything about him. And they play Friday night. That's the pitching matchup. Gilbert against Paul Skeens when the Mariners play the Pirates. So I've looked at flights. It's like $1,000. That's not that bad. But you're in and out. Fly Thursday night. Get there Friday morning. Game out Saturday. That's a big trip. I'm not sure if I can pull that one off. I know I would like to pull it off, but I've got the CEO of the family that we can't make any decision without her approval, and rightfully so. Because if it weren't for her, we'd be making stupid decisions left and right. Continuing to talk about the Mariners, yesterday when we had Jim Duquette on, one thing that's been fascinating here recently, the Victor Robles thing has been great. What a great storyline this has been for the Mariners. A guy that they just take a flyer on, a once sought after prospect with the Nationals, who, just didn't meet expectations, was the starting center fielder on the team that won the World Series, but just didn't live up to the hype, right? Gets out of Washington, says that's exactly what he needed, a weight off his shoulder. He's been great with Seattle. So a lot of people, a lot of Mariner fans have been wondering, hey, I think we should give Victor Robles an extension. So I asked Jim Duquette, former Major League GM of the Mets and Orioles, who of course does the front office show with Jim Bowden on Sundays that airs 7 to 10 our time, channel 89 on Sirius XM. What would it cost if Seattle were to extend Robles or offer him something, and he were the GM? What would he give Victor Robles in terms of a deal? So we asked Duquette about this yesterday.
If you were to go to him and guarantee him a salary, right? Let's say it was $5.5 million, 1 year deal. Because here's the thing. You could try to, you don't really want to give him a multi-year contract because he might go back to old Victor Robles, right? His old Victor Robles as a major leaguer, his career stats are 242, 316, 364. There's no bad 1 year deal out there, in my opinion. But if you doubled his salary, say we'll give you $5.5 million, and worst case scenario, he goes back to his old ways and he plays really good defense, it would be worth it there, and you maybe give him some incentives.
So I'm all on board on that one. If they lay it out like that and they give him $5.5 million in a 1 year deal, maybe even add some type of option in there, I don't know, a club option, I'm good. I don't think you need to invest more than that for him. It's 36 games, and as great as he's been, it's 36 games. If you give him $5.5 million and with an option or incentives and a club option maybe for the next year, and it doesn't work out, all right, then you've cost yourself $5.5 million. They have certainly wasted more money than that. But again, before we start talking, I've seen 40 years, 80. I've seen some crazy numbers out there from a lot of people. Just remember that it's a small sample size. Remember that he's playing a little desperate too, and that changes a player. Now maybe it changes the player for the better. But I love everything that this guy brings. I do. I just want to see it play out for a little bit longer before. Here's the deal. It's not my money, so I really don't care, I guess. So it shouldn't matter. But I would like to see him continuing to be on the team. I just love everything about him. I do. The defense, yeah, it can be suspect, and he'll make some mistakes out there. It does feel like it's got a little bit better as he plays a little bit more. His energy, though, that he brings, the spark to this ball club is infectious. And I just think that when he gets on the base pass, he creates havoc. And especially with the new rules that they've implemented, I think he's a weapon. I think it will be a mistake when J.P. Crawford comes back if they move J.P. Crawford back in the leadoff spot. I think Victor Robles is a natural, perfect leadoff hitter. I think he's found a home there, and I think as of now, they should probably just leave him there and ride it out because I think he brings a different element than Crawford, brings to the table. But yeah, I think he's I would say this about Robles, and we can debate and go back and forth on what money you would offer him. I think what he's done here in his brief time is at least said, I think it warrants the discussion of an offer. It warrants whether he does fit in our long-term plans because they don't have any options out there when you think about it. And I think if they could go in the next, 2 years that has an outfield of Julio, Rosarina, Robles, and then you mix in some other guys in there, guys that can maybe, split time platoon with them, whatever. But those three, yeah. You want to talk about energy? You want to talk about flair? Those are three guys that bring that every single day. And I think that, as Kruger pointed out yesterday, Robles would be a little bit harder to put out in the corner spots. I do think Julio can help that. I mean, Julio can cover a lot of ground. But yeah, I think it warrants a discussion to get into some extension talk with him. But I think you got to let it play out just a little bit more. Don't go crazy on the deal. But see what he would bite at. See if he'd bite at a 1 year, $5.5 million extension with some incentives and maybe a club option. Mention this real quickly, but really cool news, man. I know there's a lot of people out there that love prospects and they get into it, and I follow Mariners minors like everybody else does, and you see the clips and you get excited about prospects, and that's cool to get excited about prospects. Y'all should, because they are the future of the team, and I mean we do build them up to this like cult-like, god-like players sometimes, and then a lot of times they don't deliver. But Colt Emerson has been an awesome player for this team. 19 years of age. He's their number one prospect in their organization. He's the 14th overall prospect in baseball. He has been elevated to Everett. So if you've never been up to an Aqua Sox game, first of all, it's fun as hell. Great times. But he's up there now. So if you want to go see the Mariners' top prospect, Colt Emerson has been promoted to the Everett Aqua Sox. Get up there. It's family friendly. It's fun. Good beer selection up there at the Everett Aqua Sox games, and just a fun time. But Colt Emerson is up there. All right. As we wrap up the daily puck drop, we do it every single day. We wrap up the daily puck drop with Hey, What the Puck, where it's sports and non-sports stories. Funny, sometimes not funny. Just whatever I can find on the old internet. But Hey, What the Puck is brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle, your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Go in there, say hello to Trent and Derek and the rest of the crew. They're going to take care of you. Personal. They're going to take time out. They're going to take all the stress away from you when something happens to your commercial property or your home, because it can be overwhelming. And what those guys do is they come in, they evaluate it, they look at it, they assess it, and they say, all right, we're going to handle it top to bottom. It's a one-stop shop operation. So make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property. Their phone number is 206-817-8917. You can also visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. And you can follow them on Instagram at Restoration One North Seattle. All right. Restoration One brings you the Hey, What the Puck. All right. The men's 3-on-3 tournament is over, the Olympics. And one thing that came out of the Olympics was this very uncomfortable video. I don't know if many of you saw it. And listener, I'll post this up at pucksports.com on the blog page so you can go back and watch it later. Has everyone seen the Jimmer Fredette video with the trainer? What in God's name is happening with the Jimmer and this trainer? What are you doing? Jeez, come on. That warrants another view. I can tell you whenever he's not on the court. What's going on? This is listener, go back and watch this at pucksports.com on the blog page. Viewer, you see this. What are we doing? That trainer is, she is getting in there on the Jimmer. Goodness. Hey, for Dad, buy her dinner next time, for God's sakes. Listener on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening to your podcast, go back and watch the video, pucksports.com, if you haven't seen it. Jimmer Fredette looks like I'll be honest with you, looks like he's getting a hand job by the trainer there in the Olympics. 3-on-3, disappointing. I'll be honest, I didn't know what happened. I don't think they didn't even come close to medaling for some reason, because we can't play 3-on-3 basketball. How hard is it to play 3-on-3 basketball? It's not that hard. Women took the bronze, disappointing. They couldn't defend their gold. Over to college athletics. This is a fascinating story. I think this is awesome because I'd like to see what Wazoo and UW would do with this. FIU, the Golden Panthers, are selling their football stadium naming rights to the musical artist Pitbull for $1.2 million over the next 5 years. So it will be the Pitbull Stadium for the FIU Panthers. So if you're a Coug and a Husky, who would you want? What famous person would you want to have the naming rights to the stadium? I know what Cougar fans would say about UW. I hear it already in my ears. I mean, I want to change the stadium for the Cougars forever. Martin Stadium, named after the governor that was a Husky. I mean, it's just so stupid. It's not a funny one, but I would love if we would rename the stadium the Gleason Stadium or Gleason Field. I'd just name it. I would love for the Cougars to rename it after Steve Gleason. I think it's long overdue, and I think we've brought this up before. I don't know if it's one of these things. I think the person can still be alive to do it. I think it's a great way to honor him. He's one of the great Cougs of all time. I think what he has done, his humanitarian projects, what he has done for people that battle ALS is remarkable. I think it should be recognized, and I think it's past time to rename it. And there's a lot of people out there don't want to rename it, but I just think it's ridiculous that it's named Martin Stadium after a guy who went to the University of Washington. I mean, it's so foolish. But if you had to pick, like if someone paid you, somebody famous paid you, I don't know. I got to think about that one for a second. Who would you want? What a famous person to pay you $1.2 million over the next 5 years to be the naming rights? Denzel Washington Field. I only say that because Denzel Washington's my favorite actor. Would the Denzel Washington Field, Martin Stadium, Denzel Washington Field for the Washington State Cougars. Husky fans, what would you want? What famous alumni that would pay for that? Like a famous alumni for UW. Hope Solo Field. It's got a nice ring to it. Leave the comments below on YouTube. If there was somebody famous out there you'd want the football stadium at Wazoo and UW to be named after, they paid for the naming rights, who would you want? Hall of Fame, over to the NFL real quick. Hall of Fame was announced last week, right? All the inductees went in. The next eligible class in 2025 includes Marshawn Lynch. I'm going to be really, really curious if he gets in. I don't think he'll get in. I think that some in the media, he's rubbed the wrong way, so he probably won't get in. I don't know if his numbers really stack up with some of the best, but for a period of time, he was the most dominating running back in the sport. But I don't know if he had. His period of dominance wasn't long enough, and I don't think he'll ever get in. I do believe he's one of the. I don't know if he's one of the best running backs of all time. But for a period of time, he was the most physical running back in a day and age in which physicality had been lost. But I don't think Marshawn will ever get in, unfortunately. I think we'd all love to see it because I think that speech would be unbelievable. Hard Knocks debuts tonight for the Bears. Obviously, there'll be a local connection with Roma Dunze, former UW wide receiver. Being featured in it. I think it's 6 o'clock tonight or 8 o'clock Pacific, but Hard Knocks, Chicago Bears debuts. That should be wildly entertaining. News and notes on the show. Here's we're getting ready to wrap up. Hey, what the puck? I'm going to be on vacation starting on August 21st. I know. Really, way to go. August 21st through Labor Day. We're taking a road trip. We're going up to Penticton, up in Canada, and then we're driving through Canada. Hopefully it's not on fire, to Glacier National Park to go camp for a few nights at Glacier and then make our way back. We're going to go catch the Cougs season opener against Portland State. Hopefully Goldie, come on Goldie. You've got to make it over the Canadian Rockies, gal. Going to make me very nervous this road trip. So I'll be out for about 10 days. We will have, I do want to announce some of our fall programming. Some of this you already know. We're going to have our Husky Roundtable with Elise Woodward and Jordan Reffett. The working title is Puck the Huskies podcast. I think it's fabulous. It works. And I think Jordan and Elise are on that one. We'll have our Cougs chat with Paul Sorensen, former safety, and, of course, Jim Moore. And I think I can announce this. Yeah, I think they've agreed to it. Our Seahawks Roundtable, which we're going to have to come out with a better name than Seahawks Roundtable, with Curtis Crabtree, my former coworker at KJR, of course, now covering the Seahawks and other sports for Fox 13, and Tim Booth of the Associated Press. We're going to do a Seahawks Roundtable every single week. So those three elements, we're going to release those the week of August 18th. And so leading up to those games coming up on Labor Day and get you set, all three of them will be like previews, right? Previews of the Husky season, preview of the Cougs, and preview of the Seahawks. And we've got pretty awesome sponsor that is going to be a part of that, but not quite there yet where we can announce it. But super excited about that. So just be prepared. August 21st through September 1st, we'll be out, but we'll have content up there with our Cougars, Huskies, and Seahawks roundtable to get you started for the football season. And then our fall schedule will start in earnest the next week, and we'll have some additions and some changes to our programming, some changes specifically to the Daily Puck Drop. All right, last thing here for Hey What the Puck. Ben Affleck's going to play Hulk Hogan in a film directed by Gus Van Sant, who did Good Will Hunting, about Hogan's lawsuit against Gawker over a sex tape. We couldn't find somebody better than Ben Affleck to play him. Like, who would play Hulk Hogan? But Ben Affleck? Does he really look like someone who could channel the inner Hulk Hogan? I don't know. That's an odd one for me. I'm not really seeing Ben Affleck and Hulk as Hulk Hogan. Anybody else? I'm not quite seeing that. I don't know. Not really. And Matt Damon's going to be in it as well. All right, that is it for Hey What the Puck, which we do at the end of every Daily Puck Drop. It's brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle, your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Give them a call. Great guys, local company. They're going to take care of you. Make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property. The phone number is 206-817-8917, or visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. It's a Tuesday, so coming up later, we release all of our guests at 1 o'clock on all of our platforms, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, pucksports.com. We'll have a conversation, as we do every Tuesday, with John Canzano, and got Brad Adam of Root Sports, John Canzano of johncanzano.com. We'll talk a little baseball. We'll talk a little college athletics as football is almost here. Expectations for Washington, Oregon, Washington State, Oregon State, all of it we'll cover with Canzano. With Brad, we'll talk about the upcoming series with the Tigers, looking back to the trade deadline and the rest of the season for your Los Marineros. Those episodes coming out today at 1 o'clock. Daily Puck Drop, again, your daily sports fix every day at 10 a.m. All content with our guests coming out at 1 o'clock. Please like, follow, subscribe, leave comments on all the different platforms. And again, for all of your one-stop content, please visit pucksports.com. We'll talk to you later. As always, we promise to be better.
No shirt, no shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!